Building an audience from scratch on the internet has never been easier for creators and brands, thanks to the many platforms that exist today. But how do you add value into your audience's life as a brand and build a community around your product? To answer this question, we have Atul Pinheiro on our show today. He's a great friend and we couldn't be more excited to bring him on board as our first guest to kick things off for us. Join us in this conversation as we speak about the need for brands to push out value-based content and follow along his 3-year journey of being a digital marketer and an end-to-end solution for smaller brands to grow a base around their work. Welcome to Tete-a-Tete with LastBench. Hey Atul, finally good to have you here, man. You're a busy guy.
Pleasure. I'm glad I could make it.
We are here to discuss who you are. I mean, as existential as that sounds, I'm sorry. So, Atul, the stage is yours. Introduce yourself.
So Atul Pinheiro, that's how I usually go by. I consider myself a content creator, a digital marketer, so to say. But what I primarily do is end-to-end for my client, right? I have 2 clients right now that I help build their brands on the online space. One's Slow Pottery, which I've been taking care for over a year and a half at this point, and one is Happy Belly Bakes that I've just started about a month back. Anything to do with the online space, I take care of. I do the photography, videography, and then I use that to then further leverage my skill set when it comes to digital marketing and things of that nature. Been doing this for about 3 years now with several brands and clients. Now it's come to a point where I'm a lot more settled comparatively, and these 2 clients bring in my base salary. There are other gigs that I take care of, freelance gigs in terms of one-day shoots with apparel brands, pretty much anything, as long as it's a good idea. That's something I want to consider, even if I've not done it before. Let's see where this takes me. I see myself doing this for another couple of years before I dwell into something else. But for now, a content creator, digital marketer is what I am.
Nice. So you mentioned you started this 3 years ago. I mean, you're 21 now, so you started this at 18, which is pretty wild. I mean, you're still studying, and if I'm right, you came in from you weren't from here.
Yeah, I'm not from here.
You're born and brought up in UAE, and you have a completely different upbringing and growth. And how is it as a stranger coming into the city and finding new people to work with?
No, for sure. Initially it was a conversation that was important. Because I was brought up in the UAE for about 16, 17 years old. And then I came to Trivandrum to redo my 11th and 12th, and there was this whole transition period that was happening. And that phase in Kerala, in Trivandrum, helped me sort of structure myself, which is allowing me to become the person I want to become, right? And just like anything else, there were lots of ups and downs. There are still lots of ups and downs, but those instances where you're going down definitely help build your character along the way, and it's an ongoing process, and I imagine this going on forever. But you just got to put yourself out there, be smart about the first moves you make, and once you do that, once you provide more value than you take initially, that's how you get the ball rolling.
Correct. And
you just got to be consistent at it, always try to better yourself. And then, fortunately, over the last year, it snowballed to a point where, I'm completely independent. That was not the case maybe in the first 6-7 months, where I was earning, but was definitely dependent on mom and dad for financial support. But I leveraged that to make it work for myself, wherein, that money was coming through, and I did a lot more free work, and I'm an advocate for free work if done right, because that's the reality we live in. Not that I like doing free work, but it's the reality we live in. And when you get to a point where you can earn money and you're in this space, my goal is to obviously get people on board that I can provide value to instead of doing what I did.
Yeah.
Right. And you just, like I said, gotta be consistent, gotta be smart, gotta be always curious about what to do next. keep thinking about it. Let yourself loose in terms that you try everything out. I think once you have these few principles set in place, you definitely
Nice.
snowball. And
So it's interesting you brought up how there's an interesting conversation around doing free work, which is,
Right.
I mean, you're putting others who don't have that much dependency
Right.
at a particular,
Right.
you're boxing them into a category where
Sure.
they can't afford to do free work.
Right.
So, but there's another angle where, I mean, you have nothing to lose, right?
Right.
You're taking advantage of your privileges,
Sure,
which is
without
something
doubt.
we all do, like,
Right.
unconsciously. So,
Right.
I mean, free work done right is amazing. It plays in the long run amazingly, and
Right.
it helps.
Right.
It helps your career grow.
Right.
Also, what's interesting about the way you've sort of your trajectory in like this space is how every opportunity you've had has come out of conversations, right? It's sort of long-standing
Sure.
relationships you've built over time.
Sure. Without
And I'm a big believer of that. Like compounding
Right.
relationships play out amazingly in the long run.
compounding
let's-
anywhere,
Yeah.
so to say.
How have they panned out, say, in the long run in the 3 years?
Beautifully. I mean, in summary, that's one word I would like to use. Like you said, I use my privileges. I understand, acknowledge the privileges I've used. My hope is that I can then use my privileges to set myself up, to get myself
And
to
give
a position, opportunities to others where they don't necessarily have to do free work when it comes to
Correct.
But yeah, I mean, I'm like you said, you are a believer in those compounding relationships. That is a key variable to how I go about my work. I think that's how I sort of differ from, let's say, an agency that reaches out to a client. I am a lot more involved. I try and build a rapport. And every time I take a client on, I make it very clear that, listen, money is important, but what is more important in the first month that we do, probably as a trial, or first 2 months, is communication. We need to see if we are on the same page and we understand each other and where we are. I don't expect the client to be on the same page, but if there is a space for both of us to grow in that, with that project, I am on board with you, right?
Yes.
And it's helped me grow beautifully. Slow Pottery right now is a client where
And they're 14K strong.
we are like 17 right now.
17K, wow.
Yeah, so I've been able to grow it by about 15,000 in the last year and a half, which I'm very
Which
proud
is
of.
wild, yeah.
But it's not even about the followers, right? Like, it's more so been why I'm excited about it is because we ticked off a lot of boxes. It was like a very holistic approach to social media.
It's like building a community.
Yeah, it's building a community. Yeah. So those compounding relationships, when you tell me, like, it's an important thing because I view my followers and my community the same way. Like, I try and interact, with everybody as much as possible because, they engage with my work, they give me value. It comes down to giving back value. Just being a good person, man. Like, that's how I see it. Yes, it is an important variable to how I work.
So another aspect of your work that I would like to dive into is how you have managed to build yourself as an agency. Like, you are a one-man army.
Right.
So you can come in and say, like you said, right, end-to-end value that's amazing because as an agency, as a production house that tries to get into that tries to fill in many shoes, you have managed to say, do everything on your own, in your own bandwidth. So how has that been?
Yeah, so I think the key factor with this question is the fact that, the kind of clients that I take on allow for this to work out.
Yeah.
So obviously there are limitations when you work with a bigger brand. You need a whole full team and they will be more accommodating on the budgets that are at your disposal. But a key variable to why this has worked out has been the fact that, these are more like really small businesses and
they want an organic growth.
Yeah, so that's allowed me to experiment with how much ever possible and try different things out at once.
I got it.
But yeah, I think that's been a key variable to how I've been sort of different from, let's say, agency because I like to be as personal as possible with how I communicate, and this allows me to do so. So it's been a very important thing. There's obviously limitations every time I want to try something new, but fortunately enough, so far I've been able to work around it. But going forward, things are going to change. In fact, it's already changed.
Yeah, that's
because of the whole lockdown. Been getting a few clients from Chennai, which I had to turn down because I was just like, hey, I'm in Bangalore, it doesn't make sense that I do this for you. But there was another brand that's come on board where I was a lot more keen on doing it primarily. And on top of that, I was just like, okay, you know what, I can't let this go. Let me see what I can do to make this work. And I always believe with the right person, it's a different scenario. When you're working with the right person, it can change for the better, obviously. So I've taken on a friend to execute whatever I have visually. And I essentially take care of everything in terms of digital marketing, content planning, brand direction, collaborations, and So let's see where this goes. I've been diving a little more deep into it with, trying out different things. So I've been consulting a little bit more. I've been working with people around Chennai and places that are closer to Bangalore and getting the same, it's a new thing. So I don't know what the results are going to look like, but I'm trying to be optimistic about it. But yes, so far I've been able to navigate it all by myself. And that's been a key variable to how it's going.
That's cool because this was a conversation I had recently with a friend, like how the lockdown has given individual creators so much more bandwidth because say a brand wants to reach out to an agency, there are so many bottlenecks that go through. You have to go through the media management first and then you have to go through the creative side of it. Say with an individual creator, it's much easier because it's just the one person doing it. Like you spoke about how you do it all in a very organic way for smaller brands and smaller businesses. So there are a lot of things going on, right? And there are different aspects playing around. So how do you navigate? Because what happens is when you try to do everything at once, a particular skill or say like photography or social media management will take a backseat. So how do you play to your strengths? And because for an individual creator, playing to their strength is like the biggest advantage to stay afloat. How do you handle that?
So it's definitely been a hurdle for me. I think I found my sweet spot right now, but it's been a product of like 3 years. There's one of the key variables to making this work is, over communicating first, I think. Experimenting, never sort of you need to be open-minded about what works best.
Okay.
And like I said, over communicating. So I think in the first 2.5 years, I didn't find people that really, really understood me. Right now, things are different for sure. And I'm better able to navigate through people that don't understand it also. And I am finding my sweet spot. But first 2.5 years, I couldn't execute it the way I want to. And it will always keep getting better with time and things of that nature. But I think it's just about over communicating, making them understand, hey, this is how I'm going to go about it. If this has to take if the creatives have to take a front seat, then the photo one will have to take a back seat. But then we balance it.
Yeah.
Another key variable is about balance. You must acknowledge that you cannot multitask.
Correct.
You must acknowledge that some things are going to take backseat. But it's about setting your priorities right and acknowledging that hey, this is going to take a backseat for a while. And you want to stick to that sort of timeline that you're giving yourself. And that's how, and you forever refine it. Like it is all about, it's an amalgamation of everything that you do, So.
Nice. So another question which I would like to segue into is, given the pandemic situation now, and now that you work with you always work with smaller brands because you believe in that organic growth.
Right.
And it seems
I haven't got bigger clients, so that's another thing. But,
So another angle to that is the bigger businesses have taken a major hit in terms of production.
Sure.
How has creating content for smaller businesses changed in the pandemic, given their budgets?
If anything, for me personally, what I've seen is it's exposed the market in a way that that's never been
everyone's in a level playing field.
More so about before the pandemic happened, every time there was a talk about potential work with a client, then they never really understood the online space.
Correct.
Right, and they were mostly offline based, and that's why they saw the value. And I would always push for making an online community because for me that's a sustainable way of growing a business. And this pandemic has pretty much exposed everybody, and now everybody wants to move online, and everybody wants to create space like for themselves online. So nothing's changed as much as, I mean, there's nothing that's changed, but if anything, it's just gone to like everybody's going into overdrive with producing content for this online space, because now they realize everyone's there.
Yeah.
Which wasn't necessarily the case, and it's a very like slap in the face kind of moment for a lot of businesses.
Right.
And personally, I mean, I've been on the better end of it, fortunately, where I've gotten these clients to come to me for work and stuff, and I'm hoping to help, and I'm seeing results, but it will take time for it to bear fruit. It is a product of a year. Fortunately, Slow Potty is in a better situation than before the pandemic. And I believe that's a product of the 1 year of work that's gone into now.
The building an online community. Yeah. So Atul, we've spoken, I think enough about your work and how you have managed to build your space. Now let's go into the like personal community, like how your Instagram is like, I think individually one of the best Instagrams I've ever seen, because you consistently build a community around your work and around you as a person, right? So I mean, it's everything from baby TikTok videos to like amazing stuff, right? So since your work, you're pushing it out constantly. So as a content creator, how important is it to be in the lives of your audience on a daily basis? Because a lot of creators I've seen are very sporadic in their content stream, but how you have consistently been pushing out content for like a year on a daily basis. That's what amazes me. So how has that been?
So again, it's about understanding, where the value lies and understanding priorities and things of that nature. I don't put out content on my feed as much as I'd like to. So it was about acknowledging that, hey, listen, I'm not putting on content, but when I do, I'll make sure I try and do my best with that one piece of content. And it's about acknowledging the other space that's available, which is Instagram stories, right? And man, like I said, it's about, now it's very subconscious, like it's a very natural thing for me to do. I'm not constantly thinking like, hey, listen, I need to like engage with, I don't think that's the right mindset to be in when you're approaching this. So it's about setting the mindset and like perspective straight and understanding that, hey, there is value to communicating. It's like just being a good friend, so to say, and you're just like sort of emulating that lifestyle.
You're supporting other creators as well.
And I think about it as very simple as like just talking with your friends, right? So that baby TikTok video made me happy. I'm like, this might make 2-3 people happy. Like, there's nothing more to it than what you can see. And recently, because of the situations I've been finding myself in, like, I've not been as active as I want to be. And yeah, man, like if you look at it as a whole, it's an extension of my daily life. That's like, I know I've created brands around dosa. Like people know me for liking dosa. People know me for liking the word moist. People like me for the fact that I share coffee. Like it's very everyday. It's very, there's not a lot of thought put into it. But I think one of the key factors that makes it work for me in the bigger picture is, being consistent at it and like trying to be as mindful about what goes out. Like sometimes people think I overshare, which is a conversation that happens. But to truth be told, I don't think I share 80% of my life online. But it comes across in a way that, like I share every damn thing that's happening, which isn't necessarily the case. And that's an internal conversation that I have with myself where I'm like drawing the balance, And like I said, now I'm in a stage where I don't think about it too much. It's very natural to me of what I want to share, what I don't want to share. And I don't know where it lies tomorrow, but I definitely want to create a brand around my brand. So I think it's about the mindset. What it comes down to is about the mindset you've shared from. Like I've definitely become a lot more conscious about what I want to share, what I don't want to share.
Be mindful about it.
And if that TikTok baby video made me happy, then I'll be like, hey, that's going to make somebody else happy. That's cool.
Nice.
But yeah, man, I guess it's the mind space you come from, and like I said, it's an everyday thing for me where it is very natural. But off late, maybe the last 2 weeks, I'm not shared as much as I used to. But that's the thing, right? Social media sort of just exposes, not exposes, but like
a person, right?
Yeah, like who you are on your daily, and that's about it. Yeah.
So, Atul, to wrap this up, what's next for you in the pipeline? Like, what's coming?
Right.
What can we see from you in the next
Right.
couple of months?
Right. I have a lot of plans and ideas of what I want to do and where I want to be and things like that. That is a rough guideline to how I want to navigate the next year or two. But yeah, I know what's needed to execute those things, and my first step would be to finding a flat to move into. Hopefully, once that starts happening, if that is confirmed, then I imagine focusing on my brand a lot more than, let's say, clients, so to say, because I imagine myself doing this work for like clients and freelance projects for the next 3 years, maybe 5 years. Can go more, can go less, but 3 to 5 years roughly is where I'm at right now mentally. But the goal after that would be to create a brand around Atul Pinheiro, and explore different avenues to that, and that's how I've always maintained it. So far, it seems to be like I'm on track. But you never know, man. Like you just want to you want to have like a rough guideline to how you want to approach life. But I'm also a firm believer in life. You just never know what's in store.
True.
So I might become a priest tomorrow, confess and go somewhere else.
Sure, that's not what's coming.
Yeah, no, but you just want to approach life in that sense also. The conversation in my head in the last year. So I wrote I've been doing this thing for 3 years where I've had a word for the year that I want to base myself around. The first year I think was about getting work and
Hustle.
Conversation, hustle, right? Second year was about balance,
Right.
because
Now
hustle,
that
I
you're
achieved hustle.
Correct.
And there was a lot of things happening and a lot of work, and that got to my mental space a lot. So the second year word last year was about balance. And I achieved that towards the end of the year. And this year I was a lot more in the middle.
That's a nice thought to have, because a lot of people set unrealistic expectations of themselves for the year.
And that's why I think I'm a believer, definitely a believer in doing those small things that add up to the bigger picture. So the word for this year was intentional, and I think I've been able to achieve that, but the pandemic has thrown us all off. But yes, like I said, have a rough guideline, but also be willing to accept that life might have other plans for you. And that will let's see where that takes me.
Done. Thank you so much for coming.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on this podcast, which might be the first one.
Yeah, this is the first one.
Really honored. I hope this goes a long way.
Thanks,
I'm really
man.
excited to see what
Appreciate it. You're our first guest, so it's a bit it's a bit. How do I?
You can use ballsy.
Yeah, it's ballsy, but it's a bit ballsy of you to come on board and speak.
No, man. Suresh, for most people who's hearing this, Suresh is a good friend of mine.
Yeah,
so,
we've been friends for about 2-3 years now.
Yeah, and we met through Instagram. Right? So essentially this conversation is because of the online space, and who is listening to this, I hope you give a shit about the online space, but that's up to you.
That's a good ending, bro. Thank you so much, man.
Hey everyone, we hope that was an insightful conversation and you had some great takeaways. If you'd like to hear more of these, please subscribe to us, as we're definitely going to be pushing out more podcasts regularly. Thank you for listening. Take care.